Hi, I'm Joseph Crudup. Welcome to my storybook on live stream. Today I'm going to read this book called TD Jakes Before You Do. This is the part 4 in this book. Chapter 4. Before you leave, decide on your team. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. When confront with important choices, we gather the information that is important to our decision-making process. We assume responsibility for what we are doing, deciding, the life we are constructing. We get rid of the junk in our trunk, the negative thinking, unwillingness to forgive, bitterness, or any other deep emotional issues that weigh us down. Then we must also consider the team we bring to the task of making the decision. Professionally, sports teams send out scouts to identify a player's talent, quality level of skill, and potential to fit that pro team. Listening advice or his inability. NFL teams send down scouts to college to sport not just seniors soon to be unable for signing, but the freshmen who had just made the team. Major League Baseball coaches have been known to send down scouts to Little League games in hopes of identifying their future pitching part of that, guys. The best scouts seem belong where the player may be positioning, pointing, and taking an eyeball X-ray into the athlete's ability to play several positions on the team innovations for the future. They realize that every player scholar will not make the team, but that the team will not flourish without a version of who will play key roles into the future. This is the only way to produce a winning team. To the coach, the team is a connection of athletes, defined by the positions they hold, assembled by league rules within the salary cap and team budget. Some positions are more valuable than others to the well-being of the team. It's hard to remain a successful football team where a talent running back or a winning baseball team that didn't embrace its pitches. Personality considerations must be a fundamental properly, no matter what kind of team it is. To the CEO of an international giant, his team is determined by the organizational charts he has in place and by the human resources department he has established for recruiting, training, and retraining the people he hires. He knows that a strong HR team is the heartbeat of a strong organization. His talent employees will build a strong infrastructure that operates, produces, markets, and sells the company's product. They are lifeblood of the corporation. The shareholders and investigators count on them for the return on their investment. A mother's team that she used to run the house will likely be her children. As her children grow, she recognizes their abilities and talents and matches them accordingly with chores and responsibilities around the home. She matches them by the age level, skill set, and individual temperament. One washes dishes while others empires interprets the trash. As they got older, one washes dishes while others taking out the trash. As they get older, their responsibilities increase cleaning their rooms, cutting the grass, preparing meals, and taking care of pets. The servant mother realized that as her teen succeeds, she is keeping the household running smoothly as she teaches her children about the responsibility and teamwork. CEO of low life began to began to think of herself as a CEO, as a leader, the one who makes decisions about your life. You are the Donald Trump of your own life. You may not like his megalogous or mirrorness, but no one has ever wondered who's in charge when he's in the ballroom. Those team members are those who contribute affect the quality of your life. Remember, my friends, that God is the owner of your team, but gives you authority to want it. Like Adam in the garden, you have power to succeed and have domination, domination. And you must know that the earth is the Lord's God, but God has given you the task to run it. I like this understanding of ownership and stewardship God owns your life, but you care for it. This gives you the power to make the necessary decisions in your life and moves you from victimhood to the being a victor. The next great decision is yours to make. Now you may not feel like you are the CEO of your own life, or if you do, you may wonder why you always feel on the verge of the emotional bankruptcy or the hesitant takeover by those around you. But you alone have the responsibility to make the choices that will affect your own performance, productionally, professionally. You have stakeholders and shareholders, those who support you and those who compete with you. In the corporate world, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, it is the CEO sitting in her corner office who is held responsible for the bottom line. Similarly, you are the one sitting in the executive chair in your life. And if you don't guide your personal corporation, then you will miss the chance to reap the dividends for which you were created. Understanding that you are the leader of your life, you must move away from being a peacemaker to being a party maker. Party maker. Your goal is not to keep peace, but to develop politics. In the process of being a great CEO of your life, you can uh, you can accept to be controversial, face conflict, commit fully, and exercise character, as and exercise character. Each of these four qualities, controversies, controversies, conflict, commitment, and character, emerge from low willingness to exercise strength, wisdom, and determination. You must be willing to examine what's inside yourself and to choose the kind of leader you want to be. Without the ability shows to lead, the preparation routine will find us searching for someone to direct them. I had never seen leaders who didn't have those four chapters. Let's briefly examine each of these four. They tend to be conversational. Their decisions create conflict. They are persons or commitment. They are guided by that chapter. If you don't consider yourself a leader, if you consider yourself a leader, then you understand that it is a really an easy job or one that necessarily makes you very popular. If you don't consider yourself a leader, perhaps you are not taking responsibility for the decisions you make in your life and are trying to too much on others to lead the way. You can be a leader at home and or at work. Leadership at home is the mother who encourages her kids to donate their toys to the local shelter when they no longer play with them, or their father who teaches his son to volleyball honestly when he walks with him to tell the next door neighbor that he damaged his tree while riding his new motorbike. Leadership at home is the couple who, rather than engage in screaming, yelling, and name calling when they disagree, calmly, calmly talk to each other, state their perspective, and respectfully listen to the others' point of view. So, by their example, they teach their children how to disagree with another person, but at the same time, let their needs be known. Leadership does not only apply to people in positions of power, such as presidents, pastors, or corporate CEOs. You show leadership in a way that you choose to live your life, the way you interact with others, no matter what their social status. And an example you set for your family, friends, and others you come into contact with. It's not, hold just a second. Yeah, I think I'll read one now. Uh-huh. I gotta start this. I gotta edit this video. Okay. Accept being controversial. It's, it's exercising leadership requires that you accept being controversial. Meaning people will not accept what you're going onto after you get there. They don't understand the mindset of a leader because their opponents are based on where they are in life, not where you see your life going. Necessary members of your team may have impolite versions. They are unable or unwilling to see the forest for the trees. They are not the global thinkers you are. Leaders are not limited to one dimension, but see the entire panoramic view of the team, their goals, and life itself. The difference in prospect between their watching viewers and long primary viewers unusually creates conversation, controversy, and a good leader has to be strong enough to live with the turmoil that comes from being misunderstood. The controversies will hit you from many different directions. Some will be small and inconsequential and should be swat away like flies at a picnic. Flies at a picnic. Some people on the proper or the relationship with you, causing a co-coordinations at shows, business associates in other departments, might make gossip about and second guess what they perceive you are up to. Their women's and concerns should roll off your back unless you see them influence primary relationships or other parts of your life. Other conversaries will emerge from those closest to you. It may be someone who overtly disagree with you, which is actually not as bad as it may sound. Far worse, as the conversaries hiding like a retired bit of the con surface, people who disagree with you or have competing interests, but who pretending to be in agreement with you can be the most dangerous of all. These may be co-workers, family members, little kids, little spots, little pastor, or little close friends. They want you to do and to be able to and to be who they want and need. Not necessarily who you must become a covenant to your own personal sense of mission. Communication is the best way to confront these controversies, and I will encourage you to keep short account and log into them as soon as you sense their presence. Accomplice in conflict. Great leaders are generally tolerated of conflict, able to perform in the eye of the storm that may raise around them. If we have to wait until every conflict is resolved in order to proceed, you will never go forward. Instead, great leaders achieve their accomplishments as they venture through the middle of conflict. Their goal is to balance the streams for the betterment of all. In spite of what we see today in the politics and business met all of this, well, our leaders often arise to power by playing on the arteries of the wall, scattering people into voting for them, empowering them. Great leaders sterilize wherever they pulsate. The talent leader balance themselves within the conflict between the parties without letting them to the entire stream. They know that the truth is usually in the middle. Being individuals focus on being recognized for their own talent rather than the team or corporate goals. Others want to be right and recognized as smarter, quicker, or more salient than those around them. They tend to pick fights in order to start their stuff and gain recognition. We little know how to sidestep those egos driving in obstacles, builders and maneuvers like a sports car along a mountain road. Leaders keep the big pistol and the bar line in view when others intend to obscure the view with postulate engineers and pretty confidence. Be committed. Third, a great leader is a person of commitment. If she's the CEO, she's not off at 5. If he's the captain, then he's not the first one off the ship. He's a manager, then he's closing up after others leave the building. A leader must be committed, or she will never achieve her goal. There are simply too many other demands, distractions, and diversions interfering with your perseverance unless your commitment is firmly in place. Like circumstances will often interrupt those schedules and the moral arteries that we set in place to fulfill our goals. Let us know they must remain flexible, nimble, and adapt at stimulatory course changes. They are not surprised when the laptop crashes, the international plane closes, or the deadline gets moved again. They are not determined with critics go public and gain press coverage for their negations. They are not dividing from their real goal when new opportunities present themselves. The good ones versus the great ones. When family members no longer support the dream, when a spouse doesn't encourage their passion, when their kids require more of them, their leaders falling on and refuse to enter a spiral of discouragement, depression, or on diversion. They keep their goal in the bull's eye and refuse to allow naysayers, critics, and distractions to oppose their determination. You may need to maintain firm boundaries with the people that tend to their low dream. Know when to say no. Know that it's okay to walk away alone with your head held high, rather than to conform to someone else's standard of who you should be. Know that no one, even those who love you most, can pursue your goals the way you can. Be a good chapter. But commitments without chapter leads to chaos. Chapter sets boundaries. It may not determine what you will do, but will always determine what you want to do. Chapter lets you know how much you're willing to go up the ladder. Anyone party who has not chapter is dangerous. They become ruthless, tenuous. These are the leaders who produce gas chambers, devise weapons of mass destruction, enslave hundreds of thousands of people, lynch anyone who does not agree with them, and terrorizing the hearts while within their grasp. Totalitarian, totalitarianism, and terrorism never contributed to count of leadership that instance lies and exceeded the team. But good character does not have to be in the spotlight, or truly wanting to show and screaming for recognizing. When, you, when your character is furthered by the determination and your ego is strengthened by endurance his past defeats, you do not need to restore the shortcut to get your goals. If you think you can fast track success by cheating, lying, or sleeping your way to the top, then you sadly mistaken. You carry who you are with you everywhere you go. If you do not build a soul chapter, then you will not be able to survive for long once you're at the top. Real leadership requires internally someone who displays the same chapter in the boardroom and in the bedroom. Someone who plays by the rules and works hard. Someone who gives others credit when it's due. Someone who lives by faith. Someone who trusts their character to help them incorporate all the way we made and called to do. The Bible tells us that the wicked may prosper for a season, but they will not endure, and most century will not ultimately trumpet. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Get as much or more than you take. Remember where you came from. Never lose sight of where you're going. Handling conflict. As a leader, you will never be far from conflict and controversy. But not everyone will be willing to step up and take responsibility as the leader. You can be sure there will be plenty of people who are more than willing to sit back and credit for everything you are doing. At work, you might take on leadership for a task force or assume the leader on a new project launch. For example, as part of the task force, you must assign co-workers sensory jobs. You try to choose roles that can climb with anyone's risks and strengths, wherever possible, but of course. Not everyone will be completely satisfied. Further, some of your co-workers are jealous and upset that you were offering the position rather than them, and in response, criticize everything you do, saying, "If I were in charge, I would do it differently." You may hear whispering in the break room or noise employees hundred in the hallways as you walk by. This is one that are unfortunately but acceptable by products of leadership. Not everyone will be happy with those decisions or will be happy that you are taking the lead. You can't let these people detain you from your success. Century, you want to treat everyone with the, with the constraint and respect they deserve. But as long as you make those decisions based on what is best for the project, you can't worry about individual and who wish to focus on petty negative issues. This is also true in family relationships. Not anyone is going to be happy with the decisions you make, but if you are a parent, your job is to lead in a way that is best for the overall interest of the family. Not all the members of the group are always going to be thrilled with those decisions. Sure, it would be more fun to have a big screen TV or to upgrade to the latest PlayStation or Wii, but if it means deciding between spending the household money or games and entertainment versus necessary expense like food, utilities, utilities, or healthcare bills, then a true little makes the right decision, popular or not. How do you draft low team members? Every successful coach, CEO, and parent knows that the team dynamics changes each season. The ensemble tend to retain the strongest core of talent available, but even in the midst of such sustainability, team dynamite was still a factor. How the team faces adversity differ from how it handles success. How it prepares for the competition in one market follows for how you approach in different constituencies in a different sales channel. How you prepare to face the little differs from how you gear up for low device division rival. How you draft new team members depend on its accurate assessment of your team's core needs as well as long-term requirements. Scrutiny and witness. Like people, not all the leaders are the same. We all have strength or excess in witness that makes us equally as individuals, and leaders are no exception. The key to the fair leadership is understanding that few of us make it on our own. To be a success, good leaders surround themselves with others who complain of their strengths and their weakness. For example, suppose you are the criteria thinker and numbers who are you think are your thing, but a team project at work for which you are the manager requires a creative expression. The smart leader calls on his creative thinking and the team members and assessing their responsibility for creating exciting new versions for the project. You are still in charge, but you have the most creative people available working on low side to help you succeed. At home, you love to cook but hate to clean. Low sponge, on the other hand, is Mr. Clean but stays far away from the stove. Does not lose employees as sponsors or cares to take on the cleaning duties after the dinner. You work together to create a meal and a family experiences, each focusing on low strengths and the knowledge of low witness. If you find that there are areas in your life where you need more support or things that don't fall into the wheelers of the low strengths, call on your team members to use their skills to help you out. Some people come into your life for a season and others for a lifetime. Our hearts becomes broken and our voices blown where we intended to make seasonal people lifetime participants. Clearly, some people come into our lives for the period of time to accomplishments of the speculative task for which we want in our marriage relationship, but we cannot make a permanent investment into our temporary circumstances. Relationship can be one of the greatest cultures and assess in any individuals. So how do we learn how to decide who's in and who's out, like the Pro Scout, the CEO, or the wise mother? How do you delight in the right person to the right place so that we can decide how to run the team most effectively? From my experiences, both personally and professionally, in both business and in business, I find that most people on a team fall into one of the three major categories: confidence, constructionist, and colonized. If we're going to be effective, we must decide how to best utilize in these three positions on our team. If we relate a player into the one position, you frustrated in information and team tournament then effectiveness a lot shows because you're mesmerized part intentions that player on the team. Let's synthesize in each person's contribution and elimination routine. Confidence. First, confidence of people in your life for the long haul. They are there for a lifetime. There are low levels per exciting, and that love is the love of a lifetime that genuine swings or hangers of unconditional acceptance. It is spent a low life. Do not accept many of these secret keepers. They will help you build the borders even when you make poor choices and help you live with better mistakes. They are in your life for you and no other reasons. With no online and memorials, they will be there because they are there to you and want to be there for you. We see this violently illustrated in the relationship Divine and between David and Jonathan. David was at odds with King Saul. He just happened to be the father of his best friend, Jonathan. David never finds his true betrayal or his company shadowed by his most faithful confidant. Jonathan kept David's secrets and consistently protected his very life. Even when he faced with displacing in his own family, he wasn't seeking to invest in himself, inflating his own self importantly, or especially his own environment through his relationship to David. One of the hardest things for me is to be the confidant of public figures when they didn't when they do or say something that becomes controversial. Others want me to comment on their behavior, but once someone comments about you to someone else, then immediately cease to be low confident. Many are the times that I have been highly criticized for not commentary on the controversial issue, but I have ceased to be a great confident rather than regular influence. I know details about marriage that I could not divide even though we live in an age of incorporating those, but instead of the public, we think they have the right to know. I bit my tongue and held my lips while others who were not influential about the facts made almost literal statements against people I knew well. I held my peace and let the public find out later as I knew early. You see, the strength of confidence is in their silence. We see such the part dominant commitments and joiners who refuse to identify their sources in the face of dire threats and legal consequences. In 2005, Judy Miller faced jail time and contended in the court fines for refusing to name her sources to the government. A New York Times investigation reporter, Ms. Miller, refused to the party participated with a federal prosecutor investigating the indefinite lack of the covert operation for the CIA. At her trial, she was quoted as saying, "If journalists cannot be trusted to guarantee confidence, then journalists cannot function, and there cannot be." and free pass and free press. If our confidence cannot guarantee their confidence to us, then they ultimately disqualify themselves from the pool of the individuals of our team in whom we grant absolute trust. We must rest in the security of such relationships in order to express ourselves, gathering information, and glean with caution. Otherwise, we will reap the consequences of having the wrong people know too much about us. Confidence not only maintain our secrets, but they refuse to haunt us with their privileges, knowledge. The people who really care about us will not draw our past mistakes back in our faces. They refuse to alter the rules. I told you so. Who is on low leadership team? It is often a hard lesson to learn and often painful to accept. But no matter how good a person you are, not anyone in the world has you or low best interest at heart. Different type of people require different types of relationships. What is determined to what level you show is testing with people. Only concerned people and technically known as free, belonging in Lord's inner circle of confidence. Carefully considering their relationships in low life. The party line. Our second group, those I call contributions, are often confused with consequence because constituencies work with you, but they work with you because they for the same goals that you for. They agree to principles on which you base your love life politics, but the personhood, choices, and business, and because they have similar goals and aspirations, they will walk closely alongside you. However, they are not for you. They are for the comic goals you share. And as long as it serves their purpose, they will they will contribute to your team. But if it becomes necessary, they will leave and find someone else who is for what they were for. This commotion is what attracts them to you in the first place. These people can often appear obsessive because they live their lives like hitchhikers. They travel as part of your team because you're going in the right direction. But they will hit another ride if they decide they can get there faster or better with another driver. You will need contributors. Don't lock them out. Their exits were highly luxury. They're often contributing of a lot of injury and passing to the cause for which they fight. But don't love constructors or mistake them for that conflict because one day they will abandon and even betray you for the cause. Nowhere is this better illustrated than in the world of politics in our recent presidential election jail. It's been a daily drama to see which groups support which candidate, which hand dominate their support to hold, and how many special interesting groups factor into the election and quarter. Both Democrats and Republicans had numerous constructions who are all committed to the same party principles and platforms. Many voters aligning themselves with the party line, not with any given individual and his or strengths. I recall growing up and hearing one of my elders joking about another gentleman who was a lifelong Democrat. He voted for the first grader if the child was money on a party ticket. Two open constructions early, themselves in the church with sensory doctors, dogma, and denominations instead of inspiration and unity. It frequently results in fractures, divisions, and disputes over issues that need not become the focal point. I remember an old saying that a woman shared with me years ago, where I was a minister in the rural areas of West Virginia. What we believe may drive us, but in a whole we believe should unite us. Look, look, constructionists from diverse and distress backgrounds can unite to produce a racial changes, whether versus groups and nominations within the Baptist Church Convention at the new Baptist Convention celebration and agreed to lay aside the smaller differences that often separate race them in the past and instead focus on the larger causes such as racial equality, inequality, on which they can all agree. They take the hard description they to work together unless they have agreed to do so. Amos chapter 3, verse 3. Law constructions may in Moses in law office, law church, law school, or civic group. You may come from different departments, denominations, career, career paths, or social interests, but you share some common values that unite you. You essentially do not want to make state constructors for confidence, but you also don't want to involve working with them to accomplish collect goals. Build bridges where you can. Make peace when possible. Connect with others who share low sense of activity. What has to be managed here are your expectations. You must understand that students will make in the direction moves that may not include you. They want to go the way you are going, but they may arrive with someone else. They are committed to the divination and not the mode of travel. These are people who may change courses in the middle of the steering as long as the new horse helps accomplish their agenda. There aren't bad people as long as you all understand that these people operate much like sovereign glory. When a building is under construction, the scaffolding is right there by the builder's side. When the building is complete, the scaffolding is taken down. Just recognize them for who they are and do not ensure that they will become close confidants. One man stands is this way. All that left me couldn't stay, and all that stayed couldn't leave. Some people are seasonal blessings, learning to do, to perform the purpose. And when the season is up and the purpose complete, they will leave. This is okay. This apostle Paul says it's this way, says it this way. They went on from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would not die had committed with us, contended with us. But they went out that they might be made manifest that they were not all of us. First John chapter 2, verse 19. Sharing in negative space. On the other skin of the spectrum, you will find team members who do not share your values, principles, and goals as much as they share your common enemies. Cutaways are not for you, nor do they hold the issues that you are for, but they are attracted to you because they're against what you're against. Cutaways generalizations are one common enemies and make frustration bear flowers. But perhaps there is no better illustrator for culinary than people coming together to work against century politics issues, joining forces to combat something they want to destroy. In World War II, the French and British forces historically built rivals for centuries, were forced to form an alliance or survival against the common enemy of Hitler's Nazi state. If Conrads were portrayed, there would be the negative space, provided to century or redemptive ways, most importantly to the person and the ancestor and the opposite success that stands in the way. Colorways are not painting the same picture you are painting high. However, like cousin limits, there are obstinates which can be worthwhile because a keen sense of timing is always to be appreciated when it's necessary to analyze themselves with someone who's different, when a larger force, issue, or any Taiwan threatens their warfare. Comrades will bluster their cause with those battling the same threat. But when the fight is over, the fool is gone. When the fool is vanished, when the fool is vanquished, the giant slam and the crisis of water fallen. Comrades will tolerate the relationship and continue their own agenda as well, at least until the next enemy rears in its head. Comrades are like soldiers in a war. Their bond with you is the enemy in front of both of you. The only connection with you is what you both need removed or destroyed. It may help if you can think of them, like the French Trinities in Saturday Seas, who rose up against Jesus. It wasn't that they liked each other. The bond was built on the fact that they both wanted Jesus out of the way. Have you ever noticed how people who don't even like each other will join together to defeat a common enemy? Most soldiers fight together like brothers. But when the fight is over, they go back home, often to never see their comrades again. That common bond was what they were fighting against. This alliance is more about warriors style factors. Understanding the comrade requires understanding warriors and why some people join forces with you. If you feel vulnerable and wonder, how in the world war, how in the world would I ever know one for the other? I have found that more times than not. People tell you what they are about or they are there for. If you will just slow down and listen, when they tell you what makes them tick, believe them. Leadership style. Styles of leadership vary as much as there are leaders. Some leaders are detailed already. They are hands on, like to walk from the ground up and be militant and informed of every aspect of a project or a tailoring. Others are more big picture and involvement. They lead the details to those who report to them, relying on the experts or all others to help them towards their goals. It's critical to making great relationship decisions to identify the people around you as one of these three. As long as you enter into relationships understanding that everyone you meet will fall into one of these three categories. You will involve making critical mistakes or judgment regarding who to trust with what information. If you confront, if you confide in constitutions or colonies, don't be surprised when your trust is broken. When your trust is broken. In fact, when such a breach occurs, it's not really their fault. It's your fault because you should have known the role they were playing in your life before you confided in them. Obviously, we want to accord your life team with confidence, filling out the picture of your life. With these valuable individuals, you pump the lifeblood of friendship, encouragement, and wise commitment into the individuals around them, filling the picture with constitutions and comrades, recognizing them for who they are and working with them to accomplish the goals that you share and to overcome the common obstacles. Don't be afraid to accept these individuals on the for a season to feel a special need on your team and then to move on. Holding on to the constitutions or colorways if they were conferences will only produce their right that will inhabit your team's effort to fulfill your life goals. Before you turn the page, I encourage you to assess the current state of your team. As the individuals who have mistake for confidence who are really just hitchhiking in the same direction on the common cars. There are there ways to include colorways in your strategy to reach the next level by allowing them to slay certain dragons that threaten you both. If you're willing to be ruthless honestly with yourself about the relationships in your life, then you will be opposing to make the very best decisions. However, you must know who you're dealing with before you do. That's the end of this part for this book called TD Jakes Before You Do. Next will be part 5 of this book called Before You Join. Until then, I'm Joseph Crudup. Have a great evening.